Somebody's got it.
How are you? Nelson's the candidate for the 28th District Senate seat.
Hello. Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
My name is Nelson Gonzales. As I said, I'm running for the 28th congressional seat being vacated by John McKinney. Coming after about 6 or 7 speakers, you can see that a lot of things that I was going to say have already been said, which I guess substantiates the reason why I'm running. Over the next few minutes, I'll share a little bit with you as to why I'm running and a little bit about my background. Connecticut is in crisis, is an economic crisis, as one of the speakers mentioned. By any measure, it ranks last or near last, except for taxes paid per constituent. That's first on that category. But if you look at economic growth, it has had negative economic growth for the last 20 years, the worst in the country. It has the highest, I don't know about the pension liabilities. When you include unfunded pension liabilities, Connecticut ranks dead last at 17% when compared to GDP. It has by any measure, it's either last or near the bottom. You've heard speakers say that, yeah, but we're running a surplus right now. I don't know how you run a surplus when you have to borrow money to pay operating expenses. And you do have higher revenues this year, but it was only as a result of one-time income that came in, as John Shaven mentioned. When you look at what's going to happen in 2016 and 2017, the Office of Fiscal Analysis reported that we're going to have $1 billion deficit in each of those 2 years. I think it was John mentioned, oh no, it was Joe. You mentioned about the fact that it's a bad state to die in, that it's very high. It is. It's one of the worst states to retire in, and one of the worst states to die in because of the taxes that you get hit with. I go we have a Christmas dinner once a year with some of my colleagues. We've been going on for about 10 years, for about 14 of us, about 12 now. But inevitably, the discussion around the lunch table turns to, so, where have you set up your second residency? Oh, well, Florida. Oh, North Carolina. Why? Because of the taxes. These people that are leaving, and there have been 300,000 more people that have left the state that have moved in. And these people that are leaving the states are the guys and gals that build businesses, that pay the taxes. They are the productive people of society. They're leaving. We've got to do something to stop that. That's one of the reasons I'm running for office. I've got a deep financial background, and I would like to do what I can to try to turn the tide around and stop this state from where it's headed, which is into insolvency, if we continue going the way that we're going. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I retired from GE 2 years ago after 35 years in the company. I started as a trainee. I worked my way up through a number of different managerial positions. I ran several businesses. My last job was in Europe. I headed up the asset management, risk, and credit function for GE Capital for Europe, Middle East, and Africa. I had 1,400 employees, professionals that worked for me, and I ran a $50 billion portfolio. I've lived the American dream. I was born in Havana, Cuba. I came to the U.S. in 1962. I was part of something that's called the Pedro Pan airlift. You can Google it, it's Peter Pan. You can actually find my name. But the Peter Pan airlift was an organization that was put together between the Catholic Church in Cuba and the U.S. government. And their purpose was to bring children whose parents were part of the prior regime, and those parents were either going to be killed or put in jail. And those children were generally sent to Russia for re-indoctrination. So the Catholic Church got together with the U.S. government and brought these kids to the U.S. I lived from the time I was 9 years old for the next 5 years in 3 different states with 4 different families until my parents were released from prison and granted political asylum in the United States. I've been very, very lucky. I think that the reason that I feel so blessed is because of how good this country has been to my family and to me. It's time for me to give back, and that's the reason that I'm running. I want to take my expertise and put it to use for the people of Connecticut, for my children, and for my grandchildren. And with that, if you have any questions.